And good morning. It is 18 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, I think I'm missing a few words, but I'm just going to call it administrator for the Chaves County Detention Center, head dude in charge, HDIC. Daniel Ornelas with us this morning. Morning, sir. How you doing today?
Good, great. Thank you for having me.
Good. Of course, for folks that don't know, you got you just taking over in the last 6 months, 8 months here of at the corrections center, but obviously your connection to law enforcement and here in Southeast New Mexico is pretty vast with sheriff's department and everything else. So,
right.
It's you're new to the position, but not new to the lifestyle, so to speak.
Correct. Yeah, at the detention center, not the correction center.
Yes,
detention center. Yes.
At the detention center. Sorry.
No problem.
Basically, well, first off. Congratulations on the new gig. What I gotta ask before we start digging, what's some of the biggest differences on the correction side versus the sheriff's department? I mean, obviously there's huge, and the job is different and things like that. But as far as law enforcement goes, the mentality, some share, some different. But I mean, is it a night and day difference, or I mean, even just the mindset of how you go about the job and everything, or is there some similarities there?
Oh, absolutely. There is a night and day difference.
Yeah.
You know, when I was with the sheriff's office, as we were discussing earlier, is I pull up, drop off the individual that was arrested.
They process
and let them process him or her in, and then I leave it to them to deal with them. And now being on the other side, I see what these CEOs are having to go through in housing these individuals, the detainees that are brought in. And, again, like we were saying, a lot of times these officers are spending more time working inside the facility with these detainees than they are at home.
Yeah, they get,
so it's a big difference.
You're much more personal with the individuals that you're dealing with here, and because let's face it, once they get into the jail, that's their life for, could be a couple days, could be a couple weeks, couple months, up to a year maybe, just depending on.
Even longer.
Yeah, depending on what they're in for.
Yeah, waiting on trial.
But with that is you build that relationship with the folks. And obviously all of our corrections officers, they're well trained in things, but they got to play the guidance counselor or the psychiatrist probably even a little bit more than maybe a sheriff's deputy or a police officer would out in the field, because, they both do it. I mean,
right.
They're trying to de-escalate a situation for that moment, as a police officer. Whereas once they're in your hands, if they have they're going to be here regardless. I mean, you can't just say, "Oh, well, I'm going to give them to the jail guys." You're it, So you've got to find that balance, and obviously, it's. Anytime you're dealing with human beings, there's different tactics to deal with human beings. Some you got to be more friendly and stuff to get results. Others, you got to point them in the finger and say, do this, this, and this, and that's what, and then others sometimes go a little kicking and screaming before they realize that what's going on there. And you got to deal with those cases in each unique way.
And you covered everything just with that, your statement alone.
Mm-hmm.
You got those that are defiant, you got those that are compliant, and you got those that kind of buck the system, but they kind of ride the fence. But for the most part, a lot of the detainees that are incarcerated, they want to do their time and get out.
Sure, they're not trying to add more time to their sentence here, or to get in trouble to do that.
You do have those that it's just like anywhere. You do have those that always are just going to want to buck the system and cause issues. Because they're moving on to the Department of Corrections.
Sure.
They're going to prison.
Some know that they're going to be spending a lot of time behind bars. Others, see the future a little bit sooner. But humans are going to act. It's just human. It's just the human response. It's just certain ways we act. Obviously, they've made some seriously wrong decisions to be in that place in the first place. Despite contrary to popular belief, there isn't a whole lot of innocent people in.
No, but with that being said, we're all human. We all slip up and make mistakes. Some more than others.
Sure.
Some go and they get in trouble and they end up there and they're like, you know what? I don't think I want to be here. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And you got those that, sometimes that's the only place they have to go.
Sure. Yeah,
especially in the winter months.
Well, I mean, I know we all watch Shawshank Redemption, all these movies and everything, and they always talk about institutionalized. That was one of the things, and that happened. And I'm sure you see that in the jail system all the time. Even just people that, let's just face it, they spend more time in jail than out of jail. Maybe it's maybe it's one big thing, but a lot of times it's, hey, they committed a crime here, did their time, come back, and then, the lifestyle is the lifestyle, and they come back, and here they are, and that's what you guys are dealing with, and so you're dealing with mindsets of all types, folks that truly want to get out of this cycle they're in, and then others that, like you said, they're looking at hard time, and they're like, what incentive do I have? And your corrections officers have to deal with those mental issues, and in some cases talk them down and work with them and say, hey, look, yeah, you're going to spend 30 years in jail, but let's work on yourself and let's take advantage of the things that are there and trying to steer. I mean, yes, they keep the peace, but they're also counselors. They're, friends to some, obviously protectors and mommy and daddy. It's a little bit of everything there. And it's sometimes you got to know when to play the buddy. Sometimes you got to know when to play the dad. And that's just, that's in essence the life of a corrections officer.
And I got to commend my staff because you get the nail on the head. They're dealing with all the mental issues, the issues that they have with some of them come in because of PTSD that they may have suffered on as kids, and they're dealing with that. The staff is, and my staff, meaning the ground officers, they're the foundation of the detention.
Sure,
not me or anything like that. They are.
Yeah.
They're the grunts on the ground that are doing the work, that are dealing with these inmates, or detainees. The thing with that as well is, when we do hire someone, what I kind of changed in the hiring process is before going through the interview, and we're going to do a walkthrough first, so they get to see it, smell it,
see if it's the kind of environment that they would be in.
And a lot of them,
yeah.
People, the applicants, when they come in, they're like, well, I don't think it's not for me.
Sure.
The other ones are like, yeah, you know what?
Sure.
We'll do it. Okay, then we'll move forward with the process.
Well, I imagine you because you have a career field where you get the extremes of both sides. And what I mean by that is you have people that their whole goals and aspirations are to pursue careers in law enforcement. And so, you get folks that love watching the cops and love watching these shows and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. But when it's time for them to get into a real situation where they're in the corrections facility, dealing with it, then it's a whole different animal than watching it on TV or seeing a thing. And so you're right. You're like, okay, you want to do this? This is the vibe. Is this an owl? And then after that vibe, you're like, is this still something you want? And if they're like, heck yeah, then let's do the next thing. And you're like, you know what? Maybe I ought to pursue a different career here.
And to say this, when we do get applicants, a lot of them are young, don't really have any real life experience. And then when they get hired and they go through the training, and then they start to actually deal with these detainees one-on-one and dealing with some mental issues or things like that, a lot of them, like I said, they don't have real life experience. They're like, how are we going to handle this, and how are we going to talk to this person?
Sure, their own experiences aren't there to help and aid them on
and there's
that.
veterans officers or detention officers there that or correction officers that'll help them get through that.
Sure.
And even then, it's still a task.
Absolutely. Opportunities to advance and things. Obviously we've got great organizations that come into these facilities and help that.
We just started that again.
Yeah, but the corrections officers are the ones that make like you said, they're the heart and soul that they make the police go. If that doesn't happen without that support and without the corrections officers playing dad at times or mom or playing, best buddy here,
or saying, hey, you cannot do that.
Sure.
Parent.
Absolutely. And that's that because let's face it, this is the people that you're dealing with. This is their whole world at that moment. It's they're living, breathing, eating, sleeping, living life in that facility. And you go home at night, and it's hard to wrap your head around that unless you're one of those people that is stuck there all the time. And so you're in essence keeping the peace for their lives and making sure that they don't hurt themselves or others, but B, either choose to do their time safely or choose to do their time to advance themselves, and you facilitate
like
that.
you say, hurt themselves or others. The officers, the correctional officers, and the public.
Sure.
Nationwide, a lot of people don't realize that there are correctional officers and detention officers that are on a daily basis getting assaulted by a lot of the detainees. Some for no reason, or some because they were disrespected, or they feel like they were disrespected.
Sure.
It's like anything else. If you have an officer that is not conducting himself the way he's supposed to, then that's a weed you need to pluck and get rid of that person, because you want good people working in your facility that's going to adhere to the standards that you have provided for them.
Sure. Well, it's a job like anything else. There's going to be awesome moments. There's going to be bad moments. It's like any other career out there. Right. Obviously, it's what you make of that. But if you have a passion to want to make differences in people's lives and help out here and have that certain thing that's inside all law enforcement folks, I don't care what side it is, that innate ability or desire to want to protect and to some people have it, some people don't. It's life. But if you're some of those folks, a career in corrections can be very good for you at the detention center.
It can be. And one thing that I advocate for, and that I've seen when I was at the sheriff's office, I was there for just shy of 24 years. A lot of detention officers that want to make that change over to law enforcement, either state police, city, or to the sheriff's office, they make great officers, great deputies, because they know all the players.
They know the psychology.
They know, who's who within the community. And when I say community, the detention center.
Sure.
Because sometimes, they're just saying, frequent flyers, that.
Oh yeah.
Always coming and going.
Well, and these
know
people,
the game.
And some of these people walk the same patch of dirt on the outside as they do on the inside, and those relationships, good, bad, and ugly, carry over into the corrections facility.
And I'm all for. Let's say like we hire someone to be a correction officer, or someone that's already there that is a detention or correction officer, and they want to make that move to law enforcement. I know what you need to do. I can guide them to that.
It's a good.
And I'm all for that.
So, and obviously, because you've got a foot in both worlds here, and then got a lot of experience, especially in your law enforcement, 24 years there. That's a great. So, if you do the correction side first, that will give you an advantage in certain areas of law enforcement that maybe you wouldn't have been exposed to if you go right into law enforcement. So, if you're looking for that as a way in, and to be honest, and you could attest to this better, especially if you're having a goal-oriented, as you want to work in certain facets of the police department, maybe in the detective side or SWAT side of things, the skill sets you learn as a corrections officer translate nicely into those.
Oh, absolutely. You get to know the game. You get to know the players, and if someone's like, well, my name is, whatever.
Yeah.
Your name is this, because I've seen you at the jail.
It's like, yeah, exactly. But that helps, and that helps your relationship on the streets and everything. And with the ride-alongs I did with the sheriff's department and things, you see that side, and you see the interaction that the sheriff's deputies have with the people outside, and obviously the people inside. Like you're talking about the process inside of it. Depending on how busy the night is, a sheriff's deputy could spend 3-4 times popping in and out of that place, depending on how busy the night is. And so you get that familiarity. You see, you kind of, like you said, you're just around it more, and I don't know how well that I can't tell you how much that translates as the deputy on the streets, because like you said, you sit down, you see some people, as an officer, you see a group gathering in an alley somewhere, and you come by just to say, hey, what's going on here, and odds are you probably already know what's going on by the time you pull up there, because I know that person involved. And the player, because the players told you, like, that guy and that guy, there's a deal going down, because anytime those two are talking, that's something, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You just learn the lay of the land there, and that's the kind of stuff that really police officers can't train per se. I mean, it's just experience being on the street, and it's no different in corrections too. They're going to fully train you on what to look for, indicators when things are going bad and stuff. But until you sit down there and you're talking with them and getting the story of what they're upset about, that then you don't truly understand what's going on. And it could be just something as simple as because life in jail. I've watched enough of those 60 Days In and stuff to kind of know, a general mindset of any jail. I don't care where it's at. They're territorial, protecting what you have, protecting your people. That mindset very much comes into play. And, we talk about racism stuff on the outside. How people survive in jail, generally speaking, is they kind of conglomerate with their own people, their own skin color. That's the nature of the beast. And the corrections officers are that thin line that kind of keeps the groups from, getting too big against each other and things. I mean, it's a whole nother community within inside that you kind of have to navigate and work. And that translates, like you said, out into the civilian world too.
For the most part, it's really, until you get to DOC, that's where a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah, but I mean,
transpires or takes place.
Trickle down
in some aspects, but for the most part, almost everybody that's in there is local, and they all know each other.
So it's not as so much like you see on TV in that aspect. Okay.
Like the 60 Days In thing. To me is a lot of drama.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on.
They enhance it to make it good for TV.
Exactly.
But still, the mindset, that whole.
Now when you
go like a state facility prison or something, and you're dealing with that.
Those kind of politics will take place.
Like you look at New Mexico is a very popular place for National Geographic style prison shows, and so we kind of get a good look at some of the maximum security prisons in New Mexico. Our county corrections detention center is not that stringent and things, but
for the most part, they want to do their time and get out. And like I said, earlier, there's those that they don't have nothing to lose.
Sure.
And those are the ones that are
and these are people
of the facility where they're less, the movement's more controlled.
You're also dealing with a lot more people that have a chance to turn it around, I guess you could say. Where is some of the stuff you see on TV with the big federal prisons? These are guys that probably their chance of seeing daylight are slim to none ever again.
Since with the COVID and stuff and the restrictions being lifted, we've allowed like Church on the Move. They've come in. They're coming in 2 times a week.
Good.
Wings has come back in.
Wings for Life, yeah.
And they're doing their thing. And the Aspen class has come back. And so we're kind of limited to that right now.
And with and you guys, obviously, because of the nature of what you do anyway, it kind of, I would imagine, like visitations and things, because. For folks that don't know, you guys have a whole wing where you actually don't go to the jail and sit in a cell. I mean, they can actually go to a building and talk through computers, so it's all social So I imagine some of that didn't have to change so much in protocol-wise because you guys were already equipped to make sure the public and the population side don't interact so much.
When I took over as the detention administrator in the first part of November. Everything was totally shut down. Everything.
Just because COVID, we don't want to spread nothing.
Right. So
only people going in and out are people that need to be here, and that's it.
Visitation center was
shut down.
So I think we opened it up, in February or March. I can't remember right off the top of my head. We just doing it on Sundays, and we're still doing it just right now on Sundays. In fact, RCC, the Roswell Correctional Facility Center, they came to look at the visitation center because they want to make one out there exactly like that because they want to have contactless visitation.
It's an awesome future in corrections that way because one of the biggest, and you could explain this way better, but one of the biggest risks in any jail or prison for that matter is the movement of inmates from one location to another. That's one of the highest risk things in law enforcement. So this really mitigates a lot of that internally here. So it's not only convenience for everyone involved, but it's a safety thing for the workers too.
Right. For the deputies that are coming to do the transports, you know, to DOC or wherever, you know, the detainee or detainees need to be transported to. We still do right now. You know, we have X amount of juveniles that are in other facilities across the state, and we have a transport team that
Gotcha.
take care of that.
And for folks that don't know, I've had enough conversations with county officials and things like that, commissioners and what have you, and sheriffs and so forth. Corrections for minors versus adults is a whole different world as far as the ratio of people to the inmates to the facilities and separate. It's very expensive, but very a lot of manpower minutia involved. So it's not like running a regular. So it's a whole nother set of rules. So it's different. And that's why if you want to look at the big picture, that's why you're seeing more juveniles being moved to other facilities, because a lot of counties are like, that's an expense we just can't, we can't burden. Yeah, that's statewide.
Statewide.
Yeah, that's all over the place. And now that's why you're seeing a condensing of juvenile facilities and doing that. So, and you'll probably see more of that in the future. That's a trend going the other way, not back this way. So,
right.
just I know, because people are like, what about this and what about that? That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's the reason what it is. But again, going back to kind of, if folks are interested here, if you're wanting to pursue a job, a career in corrections here, this is a great opportunity. Like Daniel was saying, if your goal is still to be a law enforcement police officer somewhere, and you want to get some experience, I think starting in corrections, and who knows, you may go into corrections and be like, you know what, I think I'd rather be here versus this is, I can do more, you know.
I'm all for, you know, if you want something challenging, you know, come here first.
Sure.
Try it. Give it a try.
I think it will definitely help you with the psychology of the people that you'll be dealing with on a daily basis and coming from a guy that spent 24 years out in the streets before stepping into the jail here, the detention center. I mean, that's saying something, you know, it's like, look, if I had some of the things I'm seeing now back when I was a rookie, how much better of a law enforcement officer I would have been, you know? And
while I was at the sheriff's office, I did the whole gamut from, of course, you know, patrol to field training officer, to sergeant.
You saw it all.
Shift, and then I was a sergeant over our CID unit, and then lieutenant over patrol and CID, and then went to the admin side and court side. I've seen the whole thing, and that kind of helps me here as well. But I have to attribute a lot of my transition to my staff.
Gotcha.
Because they were instrumental in assisting me.
And I would also say that your experience helps them as a staff. And I would imagine, and we don't have any here to talk, but I'd be willing to bet to say, because of your experience in law enforcement, that and everything else, and seeing that, which gives you more knowledge in seeing all aspects of what's going on at the detention center here. And what I'm saying is basically that experience allows you to, because you see it from all angles, you have a greater understanding of the positives and the negatives of any decision made or that you make as far as how the jail or how the place is run. And the people that work there, from your corrections officers to your medical to your service workers to everybody in between, they can appreciate that because, hey, this guy, all right, he's making this decision, even though there's going to be a negative impact here, but he's understanding that and knowing that he's going to have to adjust that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people make a decision and they don't, because of their experience, don't realize the impacts that decision makes. Where from your angle, like, I know I'm going to make the decision. I know it's going to hurt you guys over here, but I'm going to do this to supplement that. Your experience understands that, and whether it's the red tape side of it through all the courts and all that, or it's the physical, why is there a rack of this sitting here? What, you know what I mean? Your experience kind of gives you,
some of the decisions that that any of us have to make when you're the one ultimately responsible. You're not going to be the most popular person, but it's not about that. It's about the facility. It's about maintaining the structure, the security, make sure that the detainees' needs are all met, your staff's needs are all met, and public safety.
Absolutely.
And like I said, at times you're not going to be the most popular person, but that's if you're in this to be popular, then it's not going to work.
Sure.
It's
Yeah, your job one is to protect and serve, just like you would be as a law enforcement. You're there to protect the inmates and your staff and the community from them and from each other, and that's job one. But outside of that, I mean, you really, as a corrections officer, if you're one of those folks that want to kind of, work and impact and, you can get involved with some of these. I'm sure you have a lot of corrections officers that go home at the end of the day and they're like, man, I was able to get one of the guys set up in this program and I don't know if I'm going to see them again anymore at this jail. And I think that's, you can make those kind of impacts too. And so if you're looking to make a difference in helping people, you have lots of opportunities in corrections to do that too. And to be honest, it's going to make you a better corrections officer because the other folks inside will see that and say, hey, this dude, yeah, he's going to put me in my place when I need to. But if I need help, that guy's going to reach out and pull me on the other side. And that's a lot of respect that gets earned that way.
And that's what I expect out of the officers. And for the most part, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
There's some detainees that I see in there that are, they come in with, under some horrendous issues that they're dealing with on the outside.
Sure.
And then they get straightened out, and you hate to see them go back out
because you're worried they're going to fall back in.
Right.
It's like, dang it, we finally got through to him.
Oh man, you hate to see that.
Yeah.
But
well, and that's especially if you're dealing with addiction problems and things and mental health problems. And let's face it, I'm just throwing a number out there, but I'm willing to bet 90% of the people that are inside that facility are dealing with either a drug or mental health problems in some way, shape, or form.
You're exactly right.
And I'm just spitballing, but I'm pretty close. I'm pretty sure it's probably somewhere in that ballpark.
And I got, and I keep on saying this, and I mean this because the officers that are doing the job, they're the foundation of that whole facility.
Mm-hmm.
The medical staff, they're awesome. They do their job. I mean, with them and the staff, knock on wood, we are at zero COVID.
Good.
Within the facility.
Yeah.
The medical staff does an amazing job. Core Health, Vanessa Torres, she's the head lady there.
Mm-hmm.
Summit Foods, they do all the serving of the food. They do an awesome job in assuring that the inmates get the meals that they're supposed to get, the quality meals that they're supposed to get. I'm thinking about what her.
That's the problem. You have to mention names.
Assistant,
we got to remember names and you're in trouble. You always forget one.
Miss Serafino, she does an awesome job. Codis Harris, Sarah Haberlin, Karina Bettis, and I have Marianne Williams. She's getting ready to retire, so we're going to have a record clerk position opening up as well.
So I got some shoes to fill there.
Right. Then it goes to interim chief Pete Hernandez, who's doing a great job in helping me, as well as the Lieutenant Easy Sanchez, Nicole Rogers, and Clint McLean. And then all of my sergeants and corporals. I have a training sergeant. He does a good job. It's a tedious job. And what I've done is we have had a promotion of 4 corporals, and one of those corporals is now going to be kind of shadowing him to become a trainer as well.
All right.
So
maybe at some point
we have some things going that
the future administrator might be just sitting there walking around as we speak here.
I try to get out there 2-3 times a day if I can.
At some point, you're going to want to sit on the porch and yell at people to get off your grass, and so one of these individuals are probably going to be stepping up.
The other day I was serving trays, serving dinner with one of the COs, and of course some of the detainees were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, I know different, no better than any of these officers here." I'm sure
that's the
not
respect
about titles and all that.
In a facility like that, that's respect earned because they're because they know. Let's face it, inmates or the detainees, the folks inside, they're living in that world 24/7.
Right.
They're seeing, observing everything that's going on.
Everything.
And you don't think they're taking mental notes on stuff?
Absolutely, they are.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about, like, I've seen enough from the sheriff's department things, and like when they do confiscations and things and the shanks and all the stuff they find, the ingenuity and engineering involved in the stuff is impressive. I mean, and you're like, man, if you could take that
Exactly.
skill
That's what I was about to
set
say.
and harness that into good. Oh my gosh, but that's how that happens, is when they get respect from, when they earn, when you guys, you and your staff earn the respect of, that's, because that's the give and take, that, it's all about respect in some of these facilities. And if you guys are out there, because they understand, if it's time to take care of business, you guys are going to take care of business. It's what's going on when business doesn't need to be taken care of,
Right.
is where the real connections make and things like that happen. And your staff understand that. And by yourself sitting there, and when they say, what are you passing out food for? They're making those notes. It's like, dude, this guy, probably call you warden or whatever term they have for you there. They're going to be like, hey.
Hold us that, nothing else.
Yeah. They're going to be like, look, and they're also going to, you're going to see less shenanigans, because they're going to be like, look, they're going to see, right. They're smart enough. They're going to test you. They're going to test. And the ones they know that they can get away with it, they're going to, if they can see a crack in the wall
armor.
there, yeah, chink in the armor, they're going to exploit it. But if you come correct with that and you give them that, they're going to try that less, because they know. And the next thing you know, they're going to, you start treating them like a human being, they're going to start doing that back. Now, you got to be vigilant, but at the same time, you always hear the get more with honey than vinegar and those types of things. It's no different in this world too. If they respect, or they can respect your position, and once they do that, they're going to conform, and who knows, maybe be receptive to your advice and to your direction. And what I mean outside of the jail, I'm talking, they're going to point you to wherever button you say, hey, when you get out of here, talk to this guy, or go to this, sign up for this, or do some of that stuff. And because you have their ear 24/7, you're the one that can
You have
make
to be
that.
able to talk.
Yeah, you get to make that impact.
And they can see through if you're just shining them on.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
can read that.
Yeah, and they will. And so, anyway, we're running out of time. I just happened to look at the time,
no
and
problem.
we could go with this for another 2 hours. But everything's going great at the detention center.
It's like anything else. There's
When July 1 hits here and the state, quote unquote, opens back up, is that going to change anything as far as your policies and procedures at the jail? So for folks that have business out there, it'll still be the business as usual. Check in, do your thing.
yes, sir.
If folks are interested in pursuing a career in corrections here at the detention center, should they go to the county website?
Go to the county website. County website.
Yeah, you can go. Always just type in Chaves County. I think it's chavezcounty.gov or something like that. I don't remember the official website. Just Google Chaves County, New Mexico. It'll pop right up as the first thing there. There's a tab for jobs and things, and you can follow right through there. I would imagine if you want some more information or whatever, you can probably call the detention center and say, "Hey, I heard Daniel talking on the radio this morning. Could you answer a couple questions for me?" And the staff will be happy to, if not do it direct, depending if they're busy or not. They can put you in a place where someone will get you that information and set that up. Maybe not the best of ideas, just strolling over to the jail and saying, "Hey, I want an interview." Get that set up.
There's some steps you got to follow first.
Dan, is there anything we missed? Anything you wanted to share? Anything we want to talk about that we just got sidetracked on?
No, I mean, not only working for, coming on to work with the detention center, the county is a good place to work as well.
Absolutely.
Great benefits.
I don't care where it is.
Benefits. Great. The county is a great place to work.
When we have Bill Williams and when we have him on every month, and that's, I don't know, and we talk about county commission meetings and what's going on. Every county commission meeting, they've got someone that's got 30 years with the county or 25 years with the county. There's a reason why they have so many people that have been in the county for 10, 15, 20 years.
This is my 25th year.
Exactly.
Or gonna be my 25th year.
It's a good place to work. People, let's face it, when it comes to, I don't care what it is in the county, if it's law enforcement or they can go anywhere they want to and find jobs. those places. But when you got people staying there 20, 30 years, and you got to literally kick them out the building,
It says a lot.
it says a lot about how it's run and things like that. So when you're making your career decisions here, and let's face it, you live in a world right now where you have a lot of options. We do. That's going to go away at some point. But let's talk. Go there, ask, and you know what? Talk to some of the detention officers and things. If you have friends with someone or some of the staff there, the service or healthcare, talk to them. Ask them what life's about. They'll tell you all about it. And it's a best resource. They'll give you the skinny. And yeah, it's a job. There's going to be days where things stink. It's just life in general.
That's the way it is.
It's just life.
There's no perfect company business out there that is perfect.
Yeah, the guy that's
there's
the
issues
professional athlete that thinks they've hit the dream, they have bad days too, and you're going to have that. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is a job that if you put in your talents and your effort and your desire, you're going to take more out of it than you put in if you let it.
I do got to say one last thing, and prior to me taking this on, I discussed this with my wife and prayed about it, and I think this is the place where God wanted me to go. So
as is your end game.
Everything is that give all the glory to Him.
So we got another 20, 30 years of you holding down the fort.
I don't know about 20, 30 years, but
60 years with the county. That'd be a first, I think.
Ain't happening. Not happening.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay. All right. Well, we do appreciate time, and I know you probably got a stack of work here you got to get to when you get back to the office here. But yeah, you got to deal with the weekend.
Payroll Monday.
Yeah, there was always some people that did some things over the weekend you got to handle here. But anytime you want to drop by, come by. Even if you want to bring some of the staff and spotlight them, love to do that stuff. We are just, hey, if you need more folks in food service or health, and say, hey, meet so and so. This what do we do here? And we'd love to have all that stuff because I think it's great for the people to see and I think it's great for the public to see because I know you're not planning on it, but you might end up being there as a visit yourself, and now you kind of understand how things work a little bit. And that understanding things definitely takes a lot of the fear out of things. When you may not like it, but at least if you understand it, you know what you're dealing with. So, anyway, appreciate the visit.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time. Stay safe. Tell everybody we're praying for them, and we're glad, we're thankful that they're there doing their thing, and we as the community, whatever we can do to help, let us know. So.
I appreciate that.
Awesome.
And I'm sure they do too.
Yeah, absolutely. They are the folks that
they do the unseen job.
Absolutely. It's
not me. They do.
Well, you've done it too. You just don't get to the top. You got to get there and chew that dirt to get there. And we appreciate you guys. So awesome. Thank you, sir. We'll see you next time. Okay. Yes,